Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 424th film from 2021. It's the Indian Hindi language anthology film called Ankahi Kahaniya. It's directed by three people: Abhishek Chaubey, Sakey and Ashwiny Iyer Tiwari. It stars Abhishek Banerjee, Rinku Rajguru, Delzad Hiwale, Kunal Kapoor, Zoya Hussain, Nikhil, and Palomi. Ghosh. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. I do apologise for how I pronounce some of those names, but that's what we're at. We've got an Indian anthology film today. So if you haven't seen this yet and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because as I go, I'm going to spoil this. So let's get on board. Let's start off with our Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, it's three vignettes about connection, and connection not necessarily meaning love. There we go. So, there's not a lot to find out about this film, but the tagline on Netflix for this is, it's a big city life buzzes around them. Lonely souls discover surprising sources of connection and companionship in three tales of love, loss, and longing. There we go. Very sweet, very sweet. The translations around the world. So the direct English translation of Ankahi Kahaniya is, or it translates in English to untold stories. And that's the same in many other countries, other places around the world. In Spanish, it's called Under the Spell of Love. In Portuguese, it's called Three Love Stories. I like that one. That's not bad. In Japanese, it's called Secret Anthology. And in Arabic, it's called Paths of Longing and Love. So there you go. It's all about love. It's all about longing. It's all about lust a little bit as well. But here we go. Let's get into it. So, as I said, three stories, little bits and pieces about some of them. The second one is the number one and number three are original stories. However, the second vignette is about two young people at a movie house, and this is directed by Chaubey, and it's an adaptation of a Kannada story by poet Jayant Kaikini, or it's called Madhyantara. There we go. When we're talking about some of the other ones, so the director Ashwiny said in a statement about his story, with every story I want to challenge myself as a storyteller and create varied emotional connections between the viewer and the characters that will last in their minds for a while. I hope with this story I can captivate the imagination of movie lovers with questions of untold and unanswered emotions every human goes through. I'm very glad that our story will reach the world with Netflix's belief and impact. There we go. That's nice there. Abhishek Chaubey said for his short film that it's set in the 1980s Mumbai and explores young love in the world of single-screen theatres. He said, when you're young and caged in Mumbai, looking for love's a sweet escape. And what's better than finding it at the movies, however fleetingly. This one's especially close to my heart, and I'm really excited for everyone to watch it, he said in a statement. So there we go. That's all I could find out about the film, other than this hit Netflix worldwide on the 17th of September 2021. It was nominated at the awards of the International Indian Film Academy for Best Story Adapted, and this was for Abhishek Chaubey's short in this film. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, this sits at 55%. That's on 11 reviews, so that is rotten. It's not certified, but it's still rotten. There's no audience consensus. If we go to IMDb, it sits at a 5.6 out of 10 on 1,100 ratings, so pretty low on the rating ends, but not as low as Letterboxd. Letterboxd, it does sit at a 3.1 out of 5, which is a solid score, but that's only on 412 or ratings, because it's been logged by 644 people, so this is very low, on the very low end for what we cover on this podcast. But let's get into what I think. What are my early thoughts on this anthology film? And I mean, we've done quite a few of these Indian anthology films on this show over the years, and at times I've enjoyed a lot of these. However, this one, not so much. The first and the last one are they're pretty horrible. The middle one, it's okay, so I'm not going to be very positive about this. And when we do anthology films on this show, we sort of break it down a little bit differently. So instead of doing the film overall, I'm going to talk about each of the vignettes separately. So none of them have titles. They're all just titled on the screen with the director's name. So the first one's for Ashwiny, Iyer, Tiwari. I think I said before that's a she. So she has 14 directing credits. Awards-wise, 12 nominations for her work, as well as 6 wins. So respected. Still building a bit of a catalogue of work. And this first one, it's about a guy who works in a clothes shop and falls in love with a mannequin. That's the easiest way of saying it. So Lars and the Real Girl or Real World or whatever it was called, and the film Her, very similar to those films. So the characters in this one, Pradeep's this guy. He's left his small town to work in this garment store where he falls for a mannequin, and he shares living quarters or a place with a guy who's always on the phone to a girl. So Pradeep's very lonely, and this short, I guess, sort of highlights his discovery of what human connection can be. He has this co-worker called Shanti, and this guy rats him out for having an affair with a doll. I can't believe I'm saying that. And this feels off, especially seeing as Pradeep is covered for the Shanti guy so much at work. He leaves early. It's just a bit of a weird situation. The mannequin which he falls in love with, her name is Pari, and it translates, I think, to angel. So there you go. That's very sweet. But however, Pradeep does eventually go back home and falls in love with someone real, a real human called Sashi, and he builds a connection with her in his hometown, and that's the sweet end to this film, I guess. So what worked, what didn't work in this short? I think the thing that worked in this was Pradeep, when he meets this Sashi girl, and he's honest. He talks about honesty and how important that is in a relationship, and he talks about how he's had this love of this mannequin called Pari. I just liked the honesty. I liked her response back especially as well. It was about acceptance, and that was really nice. But what didn't work? There's like this cute meet shot between Pradeep and the mannequin, and that was super weird, as well as Pradeep getting back to the shop. He picks this doll up, or this mannequin up, and travels across the city to bring her back to the shop and dresses her, and it's all these romantic shots. So weird. Especially he takes this mannequin on a date to the beach and then dances with her at night in the shop. All super weird and just felt off. Pradeep's boss finds out what he's doing with this mannequin and tells him he's got to stop it or he's going to get fired. And Pradeep's very upset, and he goes through his phone and looks at photos of him and the mannequin together. So lame. And Pradeep at the end comes back to Mumbai. He's found this new love. He's found a real human, Sashi, who he can have a connection with, and he comes back and he searches the city to find this mannequin to say goodbye. It just felt so lame. So anyway, the themes and ideas in this one, obviously I've touched on this already, but loneliness, the draw of the big city or Mumbai, that you need to go there to succeed and make connections, and how busy this city is that no one actually stops to think about the small things in life. So that's the first one, done and dusted. The second one is by Abhishek Chaubey. 7 directing credits. He's got 2 wins, 19 nominations at a variety of award ceremonies. This one's about 2 young people who fall in love, both who are struggling in life, both who are down and out and doing menial jobs that mean nothing to them, and they need to escape. So Manjari is this lower class girl, and she loves films. She lives with her mother and brother. Her mother's pretty ordinary to her. She has to do embroidery tasks to earn money and support the family, and she's obviously unhappy and uses film as escapism, and that's where she comes across Nandu, this film attendant who Manjari becomes attracted to, and he's an orphan, and he has struggles himself. His responsibility is not only to make money by working at this cinema, but also going home to look after his sick alcoholic uncle, and this is too much responsibility for him. So the two of them are looking for escape and freedom. Let's talk about the little short. So things that worked in this, the idea, Nandu, there's a moment where Manjari goes to the cinema and leaves her bag behind, and he goes back to find the bag for her, and he takes this red dot sticker from her bag. That was cute. And then the two of them, they run away together. There's crowds. They're at a busy bus station, and it highlights their youth really well and their immaturity of what the real world is. So that was good too. I think the end, or some things that didn't necessarily work. I think it felt a bit gross at the end that he got her a different ticket to send her off on her own, and I'm not sure I really liked that ending. And the other things that didn't work in this too, there were lots of breakaway fantasy type shots that tie in film history and film culture to highlight the connection between Manjari and Nandu, especially the one that really didn't work. There's this one where he turns into like this smoking movie star and opens bottles with his teeth. It just felt a little bit over the top, but themes and ideas that this one's running with, that idea of dreaming and hoping for a better future is highlight there, as well as the Indian love of cinema that brings these two together. But again, the loneliness of a big city that we saw in the first one is here as well, and that understanding of different destinations. Sometimes you can make a connection with someone, you can have desire, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. So that plays out through this one as well. This one was probably the best one. All right, so the third and final one. The third and final one's directed by Sakey, Chaundhary, 8 directing credits, 1 win, 5 nominations across awards. This one's about an affair. There's a woman and a man who have an affair, and their husband and wife decide they're going to work out how this happened and why it happened. So Arjun is the cheating husband. Natasha's the cheating wife. She's obviously attracted by success, so likes Arjun. They meet at a work conference and get it on. So the rest of this short, we see them through flashbacks, but the rest of the short is about Manav, who is Natasha's husband. He's the founder of a failed startup, and him meeting with Tanu, who is Arjun's wife, to try and work out why her husband's been cheating, and brings Manav on board to almost investigate how this affair of their partners began. There's not much that works in this one for me. The idea that at the start, like it's just laughable stuff. Like Tanu gets a necklace from her husband, and she obviously doesn't like it, and there's voiceover telling us how he doesn't understand her tastes, and she calls the shop to say that there's a problem with it, and the shop person on the phone is like, well, is there a problem with both pieces? And she's like, oh, what? And that leads her into investigating this affair. Manuv tells Tanu when she approaches him to be like, our partners are cheating with each other, he's like, get therapy or a hobby. It's laughable dialogue, especially another line, I think it was, infidelity is a part of marriage. Like, no, it's not. That's not a line of dialogue we need to hear. Manav tells Tanu that she's beautiful. It was just like lame, and just led to this expectation of the two of them at the end, that Manav and Tanu, they kiss. It was just so obvious the whole way through and not needed. They go to the beach to reenact or work out how their partners got together, and Arjun and Natasha, apparently they mention there's a big wave that brought them together at the beach. And finally, the idea that they bring in this idea that Tanu cuts herself as a plot point. It just felt super weak, so not a fan there. The themes, the ideas. This one is about finding meaning in life, especially when people aren't who you think they are. Obviously, infidelity plays a part in the impact that it has, and identity, and trying to work out who you are. And this was really bad. If you need a holiday from your partner and kids, you shouldn't be a parent, was pretty much what it was saying. So that was wild. The overall themes, the things that tie these three shorts together, love. Love plays a part. The idea of walking away from what you think might be love, and the idea of acceptance, and accepting and understanding peace too. But desires play throughout, anxieties play throughout. But the overall big thing in this is connection, and that connection can be companionship rather than love too. What else did I take away from this one? I think the first short in this, it mentioned Ludo, which is a Indian game, which is very interesting. I only know what this game is because of a Netflix original film. It was a good one that we did called Ludo. So we've covered it. Check it out. It's an episode. Check out the film if you want to. It's a good Indian film that's worth the watch if you're interested in knowing what Ludo is. I've got no questions. I've got no anything else to say. I'm ready to wrap this one up. We give the films a rating out of 5 on this show. I think, like as I said, they all connect through that idea of connection, which is great, but they're just not that good. And I feel like the middle one only stands out because of how bad the first and the last one are. So unfortunately, I'm giving this a 1.5 out of 5. Pretty low score for me. We're on socials. We are on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter. Give us a follow. Give us a like if you can. My question for this episode, which one did you like the best out of these 3? Which is the best one? For me, it's clearly the middle one, but I'm interested to see if anyone likes any of the other ones. Let us know if you can. We are back next week. Next week, we have a film from 2021. It's another international film. This one's from Brazil. It's the Brazilian teen comedy called Confessions of an Invisible Girl, or Confissões de uma Garota Excluida. This one's directed by Bruno Garotti and stars Marcus Bessa, Caio Cabrali, and Clara Constantino. So give that one a watch if you're interested, because we're back. We're back for that one. Other than that, thanks for hanging out today, and I'll see you next week.